The following is an EHC media production.
Hi everyone, Ebezas here, and just want to let you know about my two YouTube channels that you might like. First, I have a WWE related channel. I play WWE games, I talk about WWE, the real product and all that sort of stuff. And the other channel, I just play a wider variety of games. The links are in the description of this video, so please head on over and check me out. Thanks very much.
You can't just say, hey, I'm a wrestler. There has to be a lot of work involved and a lot of training.
This is really what I should be doing.
He is known as Big Thing.
Big Thing? It should be Big Fat Thing!
I don't know how this loser got a shot with me. I'm the champ.
It's all over for you!
I'm gonna make you sorry you ever stepped in the ring.
Join two regular guys as they try to break into big-time professional wrestling. Rent or buy this hilarious comedy at FloridaBushLeagueWrestling.com.
What's going on, RWT family? This is Mike Larkin, the host of the Future Is Now podcast. And let's get right into it. Let's talk some 205 Live and NXT. Alrighty, let's get into 205 Live from this week. The opening matchup sees Akira Tozawa versus Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick comes out and they pretty much run down Toronto and Akira Tozawa. And we had a good match between Tozawa and Kendrick this week. I thought they did very well. You know, Kendrick worked on him with a butterfly suplex. And, you know, just keeps on putting him in the holds. Just working him down. He had him in the captain's hook, working on the arm, working the chin lock. It's just great mechanics and technical prowess by Brian Kendrick. I mean, the dude's a veteran. We got Akira Tozawa fighting back with the Shining Wizard. Hits him with the suicide dive. He, kicks Gallagher for trying to interfere. The finish sequence comes with Tozawa with a kick, then he leaps over Kendrick. Tozawa trips Kendrick and swings his leg into the ring post. Tozawa goes for an atomic drop to the injured leg and he hits a belly to back suplex, the Saito suplex to be more specific. Tozawa kicks Kendrick and then Tozawa with a drop kick in the leg and the ropes. Then he does a second one and then a third one. And then he hits a missile drop kick. Then Tozawa hits a dragon screw leg whip, followed by a jumping roundhouse kick, and then the Dick Togo senton off the top rope. 1, 2, 3, Akira Tozawa is your victor. And then we see highlights from Tony Nese and Kalisto from 3 weeks ago and the Tornado Tag Team matchup from last week. We go to Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese being interviewed. They are asked about Buddy's match against Kalisto. Buddy says that he came to 205 Live to become the champion. Kalisto cheated them last week and it opened their eyes. Buddy says that he will send a message to the entire 205 Live roster and they are sick of being pushed around. And then Tony Nese tells them that the Juggernaut is back. Then we see Hideo Watami talking about hurting Mustafa Ali, that he has no sympathy and that he regrets not hurting him more. Then we get Hideo Itami versus Michael Blaze, in which was an absolute squash. The kicks, a Falcon Arrow. He added the match won twice. He hit him with his finisher, the reverse into the that whole reverse like neck breaker into a oh god, what the hell is it? That reverse neck breaker into like a face buster kind of deal with a kick, and just it was a cool maneuver. You guys know which one I'm talking about. So he lifts Michael Blaze up both times after going for covers. And then, he hits 2 hesitation drop kicks in the corner, much like he did to Mustafa Ali to injure him. He goes for the third one, but then here comes Mustafa Ali. He makes his way into the ring, and then Itami goes to the floor, then he goes into the crowd, and then Ali wants to fight him, and then Ali calls him a coward. So we are not done with the feud between Mustafa Ali and Hideo Itami. We then go back to, Drew Gulak, pretty much demanding the match against Cedric last week after, Tozawa and Kondalini got beat up by Gulak, Gallagher, and Kendrick, which led to Akira Tozawa and Brian Kendrick earlier on in the show. Then Cedric pretty much cuts a promo on Drew Gulak saying that he sunk to a new level. He attacked him so he could just complain about, he was complaining about losing. Then Cedric came out and, you walked away. And then he pretty much called him a spineless hypocrite. Cedric says he will give Drew one chance to make it right. He will call Drew out and finish what they started next week. So that's the big to-do for next week. We're going to see Cedric Alexander call out Drew Gulak. And as I'm recording this right now, guys, I apologize if I had a little brain fart again. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And by the time this goes up, it'll be out over the weekend. So I'm actually going to be recording Max Wrestling with the guys in a couple hours. So I'm going to get some sleep in. I never sleep. No days off. I'm like Darren Young. But again, I digress, folks. We have Cedric Alexander calling out Drew Gulak next week on 205 Live. And as I'm recording this, they did announce that at the WWE Super Showdown in Australia, Cedric Alexander will be defending that Cruiserweight Championship against Buddy Murphy. We then see the Lucha House Party and Kalisto getting ready for his match against Buddy Murphy. Then we get to the main event, which was Buddy Murphy and Kalisto. What a matchup this was. Just the sit-out powerbombs, the kicks, just Kalisto dumping Buddy Murphy over the timekeeper's table. Buddy Murphy sending Kalisto into the barricade, just throwing Kalisto over the timekeeper's table. The suicide dives, the friction between Tony Nese and the Lucha House Party, all men getting kicked out. It was an amazing matchup from top to bottom, and I would go out of your way to watch this matchup. The finish sequence comes where Murphy returns to the ring after Tony Nese gets out of there, and Murphy hits him with a beautiful knee after Kalisto was coming out of the barricade. Murphy goes back to the floor, and Kalisto pretty much locks Murphy into Eatonville. Kalisto goes into the ring, and Murphy struggles to get back. But he makes it. Kalisto with a spike run as Murphy comes back into the ring and Murphy kicks out. Kalisto goes off the apron and Murphy catches him and hits a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Then Murphy sets up for Murphy's Law by Kalisto with a victory roll for a near fall. Kalisto with a Kalisto kick, the snapmare, the roll through into the kick. Then Murphy counters with a running knee of his own, and then he hits the Murphy's Law for the 1-2-3, and Buddy Murphy is your victor. A great match from top to bottom. I would say out of this whole show, Tozawa and Kendrick was solid. Hideo Itami and Michael Blaze, I almost called him Blaze. It was just a setup to progress the whole Hideo Itami-Mustafa Ali feud. Go out of your way to watch the main event between Buddy Murphy and Kalisto. It was very good. Buddy Murphy is your victor, and that is the end of 205 Live. Buddy Murphy gets a Cruiserweight Championship matchup on Australia at WWE Super Showdown. And that concludes 205 for this week. Now let's get into what was a very exciting edition of this week's NXT. Alright, let's get into NXT. This week we open with Johnny Wrestling cutting A very emotional promo. Johnny Gargano comes out on the crutch. He says that you have always had his back, and the crowd chants Johnny wrestling at him, he says that he does not deserve that right now. He says he loves the chance, but he does not deserve it because he broke a promise. Johnny Gargano says he has made a lot of mistakes lately. He said if he won the title at Brooklyn, he wouldn't fix those problems, but he lost. Johnny says he failed you, and he thought he could fix it and make it right. Johnny says that he does not know where he goes from here. He says he has lost more than a match in Brooklyn. He says that he lost himself. He says that he's done a lot of stupid things lately, and he does not know how to fix them. Johnny says he does not know what to do anymore. After all that he's been through, he does not know what is left. In Brooklyn, he became something he is not proud of. Johnny says he became Tommaso Ciampa. He is in his head, and he cannot get him out. He does not know what to do or how to control it. He does not know how to feel and what they want from him. He says that he wants him out. He has to be better. He does not know how to do it. William Regal comes out, pretty much asks Johnny Gargano, did he attack Aleister Black? Johnny says William has known him for a long time, and he tells William to tell him. Regal says his opinion does not matter. He needs an answer. Johnny tells William to look in his eyes, and you will see his answer. Velveteen Dream comes out, and Velveteen Dream was amazing, saying that you should be talking about him. We've seen this story before. Johnny Wrestling, the Ballad of Johnny Wrestling, just constantly crying. You should be Johnny Failure. It shouldn't be about Johnny Failure. Johnny Gargano says that he likes that. The doctor gave him the crutch to keep the weight off his knee for a few days, but he's good to go. Throws the crutch at the Velveteen Dream. William Regal separates them, and then we have a matchup for next week. It's going to be William Regal. It's going to be Johnny Gargano versus Velveteen Dream one-on-one in a matchup that I'm very much looking forward to. Then that brought us into our first matchup, which was Dakota Kai versus Aaliyah. Aaliyah doing her thing, cross faces, just being the heel. She's the cat's meow. And Dakota Kai with the kicks in the corner, just doing her thing as well. The kip up into the drop kick. It was a nice little matchup between the two, and the finish came where pretty much Dakota Kai did like a sunset flip. It was almost like a variation of the Code Red, and with a lung blower at the end of it. The sunset flip and then the knees to the back. So I'll pretty much call it a Code Red lung blower or back cracker, backstab, or whatever you will, for the 1, 2, 3, and Dakota Kai is your victor. William Regal's in his office, and he's done with the Velveteen Dream, pretty much asking Velveteen Dream, what do you know about Aleister Black? And he says, thanks for wasting my time. Then Wesley Blake, Steve Cutler, and Chad Lale, better known as Gunner in Impact Wrestling. His NXT name now is Jackson Riker. So those three are in there, and that's going to be an upcoming stable that we're probably going to see. Wesley Blake, the former tag team partner of Buddy Murphy, former tag team champion. Gunner, who was in Impact Wrestling. Jackson Riker is a former TNA Tag Team Champion with James Storm, former television champion. And Steve Cutler, we've seen on NXT before. So they're in his office. They asked about the attack, and Cutler says that they've been waiting to talk to Regal. Blake says that they didn't do anything. They were parking, and they were on their way to Regal's office. No one could get to Aleister Black unless they were on the premises. Regal says they have the opportunity next week in a tag match. Then we go to the back. And EC3's down, and Lars Sullivan's walking away. So Lars Sullivan attacked EC3 for pretty much insinuating and saying his name, that he attacked Aleister Black. Then this is hilarious. Nikki Cross is in there, and she's just laughing and spinning in the chair. She wants to know what she saw. Regal wants to know what she saw. Then Nikki says it was beautiful, and she saw it all. She says she knows who did it. Nikki wants to answer the phone, even though it's not ringing. And again, just the craziness of Nikki Cross. Nikki says she knows who did it. Then here comes Bianca Belair, who has a new t-shirt now that says, "No one touches my hair." She understands. She says she's been waiting all day for this. She tells Nikki to stop touching her hair. Bianca says Regal needs to do his job. She proved that she is ready for a title shot. Nikki says she wants to play. Bianca says she's waiting for Regal to make the right decision when Regal is down playing with his pet. When she's done playing with his pet, Nikki asks William if she has any other questions. And pretty much it was very funny. So obviously we're going to get a matchup in the future between Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair. Personally, I would love to see Bianca Belair as Kairi Sane's next challenger going forward in the future. I think what they had a great match in the inaugural Mae Young Classic, and I'd love to see a feud between the two, because I think Bianca Belair, for the short time that she's been in the professional wrestling scene, I think she's amazing and really has what it takes. I think she's just got it, if you will. So that brings us to our next matchup. Raul Mendoza was supposed to be in action. Now, for those that don't know, Raul Mendoza was in the inaugural Cruiserweight Classic. Lars Sullivan just comes out and headbutts him. Pretty much the lifting, he throws him up in the air, drops him into a power slam, and then he hits the freak accident and just obliterates Raul Mendoza. And that was the end of that segment. Tommaso Ciampa comes back, and he says, peace and quiet. When he went away after a year for ACL surgery, he made a promise. He promised to be the most dangerous SOB NXT would ever see. Ciampa says he exceeded expectations. He ended the Gargano fairy tale, and then he captured the title, the NXT title. He's exactly what he says he is. He's the greatest sports entertainment of all time, and this is his proof. That was to why he's the sports entertainer, best one at all time, that being the NXT Championship. It takes a certain type of man to scratch, claw, and climb to the top of the mountain. It takes a different kind of man to build his nest there and call it home. Tommaso Ciampa is the main event now. NXT is his home, and this is just the beginning. No one will survive what's coming next, and then he kisses the championship. So great promo from Tommaso Ciampa. Then we get Keith Lee, who's in action against Luke Menzies from the UK. And this was good. I mean, it was just, oh my God, just what the opening, just with friggin' Keith Lee doing a Hurricane Rana was amazing. Uppercuts and right hands from both men, right hands from Keith Lee, uppercuts from Luke Menzies. It was just really, really good. The finishing sequence came when pretty much Keith Lee hits Luke Menzies with a pounce. Then he hits a splash in the corner, and then he pretty much does the double chop across the chest, which, wow, the impact of that maneuver. And then Keith Lee with a, I'm going to say it's a pop-up sit-out power bomb for the 1-2-3. It was a very nice move, and Keith Lee is your victor. Then that brings us to find out that Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan will return in 2 weeks. Next week, Kairi Sane will be on NXT. And again, like I mentioned, we're going to get the Velveteen Dream and Johnny Gargano one-on-one next week, so I can't wait for that. Brings us to our main event. It's Pete Dunne and Ricochet versus Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. It was originally supposed to be Kyle O'Reilly, but Adam Cole wanted in, so Kyle O'Reilly sat out. This was amazing. Just the dives, just Pete Dunne working on him. Ricochet with such great maneuvers that kept us in the drop kick so quick. Same with Pete Dunne. The release German suplex off the ropes. Just, it was amazing what these guys did. Again, as far as the action that you saw this week from both shows, go out of your way to watch both shows, but particularly go out of your way to watch Buddy Murphy and Kalisto, and go out of your way to watch Pete Dunne and Ricochet against Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. The finishing sequence came where Pete Dunne did a moonsault on the Strong and Cole on the outside. Beautifully done. Ricochet goes for a suicide dive, but Strong is pulled out of the way, and Ricochet accidentally hits Pete Dunne, so miscommunication. Strong with a knee to Ricochet, and then Dunne is sent into the ring, and then Adam Cole pins the WWE UK champion Pete Dunne with the last shot, the running knee for the 1-2-3, and Roderick Strong and Adam Cole are your victors. After the match, the Undisputed Era celebrate, but, you know, pretty much the Undisputed Era beats up Pete Dunne, and then they go after Ricochet, but before they can do that, the War Raiders come out, and Cole O'Reilly and Strong live to fight another day, and pretty much said that, you know, you're not sneaking attacking us, and Adam Cole blows him a kiss, and that will lead. That's the end of NXT. So we have progression with Pete Dunne. So it looks like we're going to get a Pete Dunne Adam Cole match for the UK Championship in the near future, and it looks like we're going to get the War Raiders challenging for the tag titles in the near future as well. We're going to get Velveteen Dream and Johnny Gargano next week, which is going to be great. And what we saw on NXT was just great, just overall solid action. Same with 205 Live, but I insist and I urge you guys to go watch the main event of both shows, the tag match between the Undisputed Era and Pete Dunne and Ricochet, and the matchup between Buddy Murphy and Kalisto. Excellent matchups. And again, another solid edition of both shows this week. I can't wait for next week, as I mentioned, to reiterate my point one more time. Velveteen Dream and Johnny Gargano next week. Kairi Sane's in the house, and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan will be in action and are returning to action hopefully in 2 weeks, or they might just appear. And we got Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler in action next week, so we'll see what happens there. And then next week we got the progression of Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak, because, you know, Cedric's going to call him out. So yeah, check it out. This will conclude episode 10 of The Future Is Now. Check out RWT on Facebook and Twitter. Links will be in the description below. And just thank you guys as always for listening and enjoying. I'll be back next week with episode 11. It is 2:08 in the morning. I'm going to sleep. Max Wrestling will be recorded in about 5 hours. 7 a.m. my time, 12 p.m. UK time, and we'll have it up for you guys over the weekend in both Max Wrestling and RWT groups. My name is Mike Larkin. Thank you as always for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless, and have a great night.